Hey everybody, my name's Cody, and welcome to my channel. Uh, Obviously, as you know, the name of my channel indicates, I have a weight problem, and I'm at the point in my life where I'm ready to make some changes. I know people say that stuff all the time, and most of us never carry through with it. And to be honest, I've been one of those people numerous times. So this being my first video, my intention is just to let everybody know exactly, who I am and how I've gotten to be at this point in my life. And hopefully, as time goes on, you guys start to see a change. I don't want to be that person that says one thing and does another anymore. I've spent a lot of time doing that, and it always seems to just make you look bad and feel bad. Well, to start you guys off, I guess I've pretty much been overweight since birth. At least in my mind, that's how I've perceived it. And I mean that in a sort of joking way, but sort of serious, I think all babies tend to be a little chunky when they're born. Well, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. I was pretty chunky. My mom used to joke that I looked like the Michelin Man, and just I had a lot of rolls. And that's cute when you're a kid, especially a baby. But as you get older, you know, things start to change. People's social behavior about you being overweight starts to change. I was bullied a lot about my weight in school. And that kind of took a hit on my, you know, emotional and mental well-being, at that point in my life. I'm kind of over it now, but you know, people still make comments, and that hurts your feelings and upsets you. And you know, I guess that happens to most people. you know doesn't matter what the topic of a discussion is. But people who are overweight are unfortunately among the people who get scrutinized a lot. I had a period, I don't know, probably in my early years, probably before 5, where I kind of looked sort of normal. I thinned down a little bit, and I wasn't too overweight or anything like that. And then I just started packing the weight on. My mom always encouraged me to eat and eat healthy and eat till, I was happy with what I ate. Problem was that over time, that type of mentality and behavior kind of increases or gets worse, and your ability to eat food becomes more and more. So your need or ability to satiate that desire becomes more and more difficult, because you can fit more and more food. And eventually you just are consuming more food than it takes to get to that point, or than you should be to get to that point. I just did body mass, or not body mass index, the calorie deficit calculations for somebody my size to try to see where I should be. And based on my age, and I did an approximate weight, because I don't know my exact weight yet. I have to get a new scale, or I had to get a new scale, which hasn't arrived yet because unfortunately I'm in the weight range that I have to buy a special scale to weigh myself, because I'm that heavy. There's nothing quite like stepping on a scale and having it air out because it can't handle the amount of weight that you have. But that being said, I'm trying to figure out exactly where I am weight wise. But the calories to support my assumed body weight would put me at close to 4,000 calories a day to maintain. That's about double what a normal person should intake on a daily basis. And I don't even realize I eat that much food. I've got to be getting it somewhere. So that's just kind of, my reality at this point. And you know, trying to do what I can to change things. So not to get too far ahead of myself. Um, as I got into my preteen years, maybe between like 10 and 12, I was big. Um, at that point I hadn't grown vertically very much. So I was short and I was fat. And I looked like a balloon. I mean, I was so filled out. I literally looked like somebody filled me with air. Like my cheeks were, puffed out. And looking back, I don't even remember being that big. But I was literally always big. Like I used to wrestle, and I remember kids my age at that point in time normally would weigh around 90 pounds. I weighed like 150. I was not a small kid. And that's always just kind of stuck with me, and I kind of learned how to try to brush off comments from people, you know. Like I had a kid that used to call me Butterball all the time. And, no matter how much you try to ignore it, it still grates on you. And I'm an emotional eater. I eat when I'm upset. And unfortunately, I didn't deal with certain things that have happened in my life up to that point very well. Like my parents splitting up. And I bottled my feelings and I hid my emotions. And when people weren't watching me, I stuffed my face. And so I was always overweight. And that started to turn around for me in my teen years because I had moved in with my father. And this is not to blame my mother either. So let that be said. When I lived with my father, he had been remarried for a few years at this point. And they had, at this point, had two kids together. So I was much older than them. I believe I was 12 when my dad's first kid with his new wife. I totally just forgot what I was saying. Yeah, I think I was 12 at the time that my brother was born with my dad's second wife. And a few years later, they had another son. And I played with them a lot. And that was the most physically active I think I'd ever been, besides doing wrestling. And wrestling never really caused me to lose weight. I don't. Obviously, I had to have been eating more than I was burning. And my stepmom at that time, she kind of helped me portion control my meals. So that with the increased exercise and getting a little taller helped me slim down. So by the time I was 17 or 18, I weighed about 230 pounds, which is the smallest I've ever been as an adult. Um, I remember being that small in a way, but at the same time, I don't. Like, the transition between then and now, I really don't mentally feel it. You know, sometimes I still feel like I'm, 19 or 20 and I'm almost 28. And, that time has passed quickly. And even though my body's changed drastically in those years, I didn't really realize it. I mean, I had people point it out, and I kind of knew I was getting bigger a little bit here and there, but it never, I never felt it. Like the heaviness, the slowing down, and all the problems that came with it. Um, and the thing is even at 17 or 18, I was still a little overweight. I still had some weight to lose. Um, I probably should have weighed about 180. That's probably what I should weigh right now. Um, and I still had weight to lose at that point, but I was much, much healthier than I am right now. Excuse me. Along with all the weight gain over time, I got out on my own. Um, I got engaged. My wife and or we're not married yet, but I still call her my wife. We've been engaged for several years, and we just haven't had the moment to actually get married. It always kind of got pushed off for various reasons, and I'd like to honestly, lose some weight before we get married. I'd like to look good, especially don't want to look like I do right now. But anyway, besides that, we moved out on our own. We had our first kid, um, and at this point, I probably weighed about 280 pounds. And I thought to myself then, you know, I'm never going to get to 300. Just got to control what I'm doing and blah, blah. But the reality is I never really did anything. I never took proactive steps. I didn't work out. I still just ate what I felt like. Neither of us are great cooks, so we kind of just ate junk, things that are easy, pre-made meals, things like that. We rarely cooked. And whatever I did eat, I usually ate too much of. And my habits are really not good. I eat at the wrong times of the day. I snack when I'm bored. I emotionally eat. I eat just for the sake of eating sometimes. Sometimes I'll keep eating just because something tastes good. And I'm trying to satisfy some sort of desire that I can't satisfy. And, those are problems, you know, with your thinking. Um, I think that it's common for most people who are overweight to struggle with such things. But as time went on, you know, we had another daughter, and I had gained a little bit more weight, and a few more years went by, and next thing I knew, I was about 345 pounds. And I had thought to myself, wow, I thought I'd never get over 300. That's what I told myself. Well, here I am, I'm almost 400. Close, pretty close to 400. And I had started a roofing job at this point in time, which industrial roofing is a little bit different than doing residential roofing. I don't know if anybody who's going to watch this is familiar with roofing, but roofing in general is a very brutal physical job. It's very hot. you sweat your butt off all day, and it is work. And I have mad respect for anybody who does it. I stuck it out for the season until I got laid off. I lost a little bit of weight, a few pounds, not as much as I thought I would. My body kind of adjusted to it over the year that I did it, and I never ended up going back. I ended up sticking back with the side job that I had going part time, and went back full time at another job that I had before that, and that was a semi-physical job, working in a warehouse, and that helped me kind of maintain my weight for a little while, just below 400 pounds. And I ended up going from the warehouse into a new position in an office, which is a sit-down job, and I just packed weight on. The going from a physical job to a completely stationary job completely killed me. And next thing I knew, I was over 450 pounds. The heaviest I've ever weighed myself was 475 pounds. I had lost a little bit of that weight. I was back down closer to 450. And I've lost weight here and there. You know, my biggest stretch was I stuck to a diet for about a month and I lost about a pound a day. So I ended up losing about 30 pounds, and then the holidays came around and I made an excuse, well, I'll eat what I want, pick out for the holidays, enjoy myself, and I'll get back on track. And that never happened. I just derailed and I put all that weight back on, and the scale that I had, because I've bought a special scale before, stopped working recently. So I had to buy a new one. So I don't know what my actual weight is right now, but I should be getting that in a couple days. And when I figure out what my weight is and my BMI and all my statistics, I'll be sure to post that. But that's kind of how I ended up where I'm at right now. I know that my problems are an addiction, and I've got to treat them as such. I know some people personally who have struggled with other forms of addiction. And this is not to compare, you know, their types of addictions to, food addiction. But there are some parallels. And that being said, one of the biggest ones I noticed is that when a person has an issue like that, you can try to help them all you want. You can try to tell them what they need to do, or, try to force them into situations. For example, a drug addict or something like that. You can try to force them to go to rehab. They may even go, but that doesn't mean that they'll stick it out. And even if they do, it doesn't mean that they'll change. That change has to come from within inside yourself. And until you are ready to make that change, it's not going to happen. And that's where I was. I wasn't ready to make those changes. I always told myself, "Oh, I want to make this change. I want to do this. I want to do that." But the reality is that the change that I wanted was the benefit of being a smaller person. Because it's easier to be smaller. It's less taxing on my body. It doesn't hurt as much. But I didn't want to do the things that required getting to that state. I liked eating the way I eat. And, that'll probably be something I struggle with all my life. But I realized that I had to be ready and willing to make those changes before they were ever going to happen. And I've had moments because I've talked to several people and they say, well, you need to figure out what your thing is that makes you say, oh, that's it, and this is going to help me focus and change my life. For example, I had a family member say to me, you know, you should think about your kids, you know, and that you're going to die and not be around if you don't change yourself. That would scare me. And I agreed with that it does scare me. I've thought about that numerous times. I've cried about it numerous times. You know, I have 3 kids. I have 2 daughters and a son. And I thought to myself, you know, I have a history of heart disease that runs in my dad's side of the family, you know, that seems to affect the men. And it's a possibility based on genetic circumstances that I could die young from a heart attack. It's not a guaranteed thing, but it's a possibility. And I'm certainly not helping my case. You know, so those are things I've certainly thought about. But the problem that you have is that those things don't speak to me on a daily basis. You know, I don't think about that stuff all the time. You know, occasionally it crosses my mind, but typically I get up and I think, I'm hungry, I'm going to go eat. And I just eat what I feel like. So I don't think I've ever truly had that moment where something's clicked and I felt like I had to, you know, that was the thing. That was going to be my drive. But I have been able to change my mentality. And I know my situation. I know the things that I desire and that I want. And I'm ready and I'm willing to fight for the life that I haven't been living. I've let myself waste what life I've had so far, you know, and I could sit and make excuses all day, but the reality is that it's not going to change anything unless I change something. You know, I don't want my kids to remember me, you know, as a failure or look back at me, you know, when I'm gone and say, well, you know, dad might have still been here if he had done this, that, or the other thing to lose weight. I don't want this to be the reason that, you know, I die or that, you know, my family has to worry about what's going on with me. And I've got to change. I really do. And that for the first time in my life, and I honestly mean this. I feel like it's up here. It's finally up there. The decisions and the desire, but it's also in here. You know, I want this. I want to better myself. I want to have a better life. I want to stop depriving my kids of all the things that they ought to have, the time, you know, that I don't spend with them because I can't do some of the things that they want, or I don't have the energy or the motivation to get up and do some of the things that they want or I ought to be doing as a father. You know, my kids want to go outside, and sometimes I'm like, I don't want to go outside because outside's too much work for me. You know, it's too hot, or I don't like walking, or blah, 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 and I make up an excuse. You know, it's not that I physically can't get up and walk outside, but there are things about it that are hard for me, you know, and that's due to being overweight, and that's a deficiency on my part. You know, I'm not able to provide them with something that they should have because of a shortcoming on my end. And it's not a shortcoming that I have just because I have it. You know, it's not like catching a disease and, you know, well, there's nothing you can do about it. It's not your fault. This is my fault. I've gotten me to this point. I could have fixed this a long time ago and I didn't. And I've wasted my life. You know, I've sat here feeling bad for myself, feeling like a failure because I haven't pushed myself beyond where I'm at. You know, I didn't finish school. I didn't go out and get a GED. You know, I didn't go to college. I haven't pushed to try to do those things that are going to get me further in life, that are going to earn me a better, higher paying job, you know, so that I can have a house and have nicer things for my family And even if I had done all of that, if I was still this me, it's not going to help me. You know, you can have all the things in the world around you materially, and it doesn't mean anything. And I think I've gotten caught up in worrying about such things. I've allowed those things to stress me, and then I make it an excuse and I go out and eat. I eat my feelings. So it's time for a change. It really is. You know, I'm ready. I'm willing. I'm able. I've already started changing my eating habits. So we'll see when I get my scale in a few days what my first weigh-in's gonna be, and I'll try to keep you guys updated. You know, I plan on posting things regularly so that keeps me honest. Um, you know, I gotta get I'm gonna try to get a Facebook page set up for this to post stuff on there, and possibly on Instagram. We'll see coming up. I gotta get all that stuff going, but I have a positive outlook right now for the future. You know, as long as I've got life left in me, this is gonna happen, and I just hope that I can help or inspire somebody who sees this. And you know, I just wanted to say thank you, and you know, hopefully that you guys, you know, get some encouragement or can share this with somebody who maybe can find encouragement. And I just want to say thank you, and please like and subscribe, and talk to you guys later. Thanks.